Dawushan Nature Reserve was believed to be the last home of the legendary clouded leopard. Many studies also show that if clouded leopards still existed in Taiwan, Dawushan would be the most likely place where you could find them. You can find the widest range of wildlife in this reserve. The establishment of the Dawushan Reserve is to preserve the only piece of natural forest left on the lower and mid-altitude of the island, with great biological diversity and species richness. Not only this, the diverse ecosystem has also been preserved, including many endemic species or subspecies. This is a green haven for the wild animals between Yushan National Park and Kending National Park. Dawushan Nature Reserve is located on the eastern side of the Dawu Mountain area on the southern part of the Central Mountain region between Taidong County and Pingdong County. There are a total of 25 forests in the Dawu area, 25 forests in the Taidong area, and a portion of Pingdong area covering 47,000 hectares. These areas belong to Beinan, Jinfeng, Taimali, and Daren townships in Taidong County. Except for the national parks, this would be the largest nature reserve with the most complete forest types, from altitude 200 to 300 meters to 3,000 meters. You can see the entire Dawu mountain area from the sky and enjoy the mountains and valleys below. This covers the North Dawu Mountain, Zhiben Mountain, Wutou Mountain, South Dawu Mountain, Yiding Mountain, and aquatic ecosystems like the Xiaogui Lake, Taimali Stream, Zhiluan Stream, Zhiben Stream, Danan Stream, and Dazhu Stream. This is the most complete and distinct Dawu area. The warm and humid climate here is excellent for plant and animal growth. Thus, we get a unique and diverse mix of wildlife here. As the present research shows, there are at least 27 species of mammals, 135 species of birds, 26 species of reptiles, 16 species of amphibians, 12 species of fish, 70 species of butterflies, and many species of insects. At the same time, this could also be the last place where you can find the clouded leopard. Due to the wonderful geographical environment, Dawu Nature Reserve managed to preserve a fairly good primary vegetation, mostly untouched and undeveloped. In this virgin forest, a lot of rare and valuable plants can be found. As the forest covers a long longitude, it includes the subtropical forest, the broadleaf forest, and the coniferous forest. With plenty of rain, you can find the subtropical broadleaf forest within 500-meter elevation of the sea. It consists mainly of Moraceae ficus and Lauraceae phoebe. Around 500 to 1800 meters, you can find the warm, temperate broadleaf forest filled with Lauraceae and Fagaceae evergreen, broadleaf, and deciduous trees. Vines and epiphyte are well distributed throughout this area. In this changeable broadleaf forest, many different kinds of plants provide a rich source of food for the animals, and the dense forest covers an ideal shelter. For mammals, the Dawu mountain area is suitable for the Macaca cyclopus in many ways. Thus, you can find many groups of them here, especially beside the streams or in the dense forest. The Suscrofa taiwanus is a kind of animal which moves a lot on the forest floor, in grasses, or beside streams. Manas pentadactyla, which is very rare now, is a kind of anteater, which lives in tunnels and dunes of the low altitudes in the Dawu mountain area. The Tomiops swinhei formosanus, with the 3 blackish-brown stripes on the back, could adapt well either in the broadleaf forest or in the coniferous forest. However, they mostly live around areas which are 1,000 meters above sea level. Unlike the Tomiops swinhei formosanus, Calosciurus erythraiou can live in an even wider area and adapt better. They could be considered the best among mammals in terms of adapting to living conditions. The nocturnal Petourista grandis is mostly a vegetarian and can be found from altitudes of 500 to 3,000 meters high. Paguma larvata taiwana, which is also nocturnal, lives mainly in the broadleaf forest. The humid environment here makes it heaven for amphibians. These are the ones who breed on the forest floor, and though they may appear insignificant, make the forest bustle with life at night. Reptiles who have existed since the Paleozoic era are also major players here. Among them, the highly poisonous Agistrodon acutus, who has become a totem of Taiwan Aborigines, is one of the most representative animals here. This same forest is also home for many protected animals, like the Careiratomus macleayi, who lives in the broadleaf forest. Walking into the forest, other than the sounds of the wind, there is the sweet chirping of the birds. The highest species diversity of animals you can find here would be birds. These mountain birds mostly feed on insects in the woods, or seeds and fruits from the plants. With rich species diversity, the birds in the broadleaf forest have excellent living conditions. The Spilornis chilahoya, which often hovers in the sky, spreading its strong wings, lives in the lower altitude of the broadleaf forest and feeds on reptiles. The ferocious Accipitere triregatus formosae Meyer feeds on small birds and animals. The nocturnal Glaucidium brodiae pardulatum, which is the smallest species of owls in the Dawu mountain area, sometimes hunts in the daytime for its prey. Urokisa caeruleas, which are endemic to Taiwan, breed and care for their young in groups. Another endemic species of birds, like the Leucichia steri, live in the lower and denser stratum of the forest, feeding on a greater variety of foods. Dawu mountain area has a rich variety of birds, especially in the middle and lower altitudes of the broadleaf forest. It is an extremely suitable environment for the birds, with an impressive number of species and size of bird population, making it an important resource for the preservation of birds. The forest between the altitudes of 1,800 and 2,500 meters is a mixture of the warm temperate coniferous and broadleaf forest, often with a touch of mist in the air. The main vegetation would be the conifers and the Chamaecyparis formosensis. But under these big coniferous trees, you can find broadleaf trees, shrubs, and herbaceous plants. The average temperature is lower and wetter, and still provides good shelter for the wild animals. Like in the lower and more humid areas, you can almost hear the croaking of the Rhacophorus multercity all year round. It is an amphibian endemic to Taiwan. Other mammals are also frequently found in the coniferous broadleaf forest, from the bottom of the forest to the canopy. You can find many different species of animals, like the Muntiacus ravissimicrurus and the Cervas unicorn swinhui, where the previous is the smallest species inserted, and the latter is a bigger species. Muntiacus ravissimicrurus makes sounds like a dog barking and enjoys activities at dawn or dusk. Cervas unicorn swinhui is an endemic Taiwan species that mostly feeds on tender grass and leaves. Mustela sibirica taiwana and Petaoristica alborufus lena are also major nocturnal animals for this region. Many kinds of birds also live in the middle and high altitudes, like the Garrulus glandarius taiwanus and other parodies who live in the middle and upper stratum of the forest. You can see them gliding gracefully in the air and hunting for insects, which is an ideal control for insects in case there are too many. You also find other endemic birds, like the Tarsiger johnstonii, Parus holsti, and the endangered Sirmaticus mikado. As well as the Lophura swinhui. As we venture higher to around 2,500 to 3,000 meters, we find the cold, temperate coniferous forest. Hemlocks are dominant species here, as you can see from these magnificent examples which have withstood the harsh environment all these years. All vegetation on the high mountain faces the same challenge, a big difference in temperature and the need to be resistant to strong winds while retaining moisture at the same time. And because of these problems, such vegetation must have especially bright flowers with smaller flower size and petals. And the leaves and stems must grow in the shape of needles so as to avoid losing moisture. At altitudes of around 2,500 to 3,000 meters, there is a significant reduction in the species of animals, as only animals who can adapt to the high altitude living conditions survive in this harsh environment. The endemic Apodentus semotus and Rattus culturatus, the endangered Capricornus crispus swinhui, and birds like Carpoocaccus winaceus formosana, Garrulax morrisonianus, Prunella colaris nipalensis, and Troglodytes taiwanus are animals who live in this region. However, the birds move to the lower altitudes for food in the winter. There are also lakes in the reserve, like Xiaogui Lake nearby. It used to be rich in wildlife, but lost many of these animals due to the development of roads and human activities. Other than lakes, the streams are also teeming with life. They tend to flow eastward due to the Central Mountain Range, reaching the Pacific Ocean in 20 to 30 kilometers. Within the short distance, the height difference changes by 2,000 to 3,000 meters, which forms many canyons, rapids, and waterfalls. The landforms are still changing as of yet. As the streams are relatively unaffected by human activity, the middle and upper stretches have managed to maintain abundant life forms. The water in the upper parts of the stream is clear with highly dissolved oxygen, and due to the rapid water flow and rocks in the river, fish that have managed to live in this condition are special in their morphology and habits. Like the Varicohinus alticorpus, which is an endemic species in Taiwan, can only be seen in the southern and eastern streams. They like rapids and live on aquatic insects and algae. However, their population is very low now. Spinibarbus hollandi oshima can be found in the lower waters, where the water flows rapidly and the stream bed is full of gravel. They feed on aquatic insects, small fish, prawns, and algae. They grow very fast and can reach up to 30 to 40 centimeters in length. Hemimygon taitungensis is distributed only in the Huadong area. It feeds on the algae on rocks and lives in the rapid streams in the mountain area. Acrosochelus paradoxus. And the endemic Chrysostoma lacustra also feeds on the algae on rocks for food. And Sikiopteros japonicus, which is good at staying against the current, can rest on the rapids or under the waterfalls, feeding on the algae. The color of the Rhinogobilius bruneus varies greatly from different habitats. They are omnivorous and voracious eaters. The length of the body is less than 10 centimeters. And it lives in the middle and lower parts of the stream. The creeks in the stream sides are the places often frequented by stream crabs and hairy crabs. Herpestis urwa, which feeds on protected crab species, is also classified as rare and valuable. Brown dippers, Quinclus pallasii, seek their food in the water. They also walk along the bottom of the stream looking for food. They mostly eat insects and their larvae. Meophoneus insularis Gould, another endemic Taiwan bird, lives on the rocks and in damp forested areas near the rapids. They make a high-pitched sound and normally appear near the streams in morning or at dusk. Rheacornis phalinginosus atinus, also an endemic bird, spreads its tail feathers out like a pair of scissors when it lands and swings them from left to right. Alcedo atis bengalensis, Buplorides striatus amorensis, and little egret, Egretta garzetta, and many others are all members in this stream ecosystem. Butterflies are the spirits of the forest, well distributed from the high to low altitudes. The well-preserved vegetation provides the best shelter for butterflies. You can see the graceful fluttering of the butterflies near the valleys in the reserve and in the undergrowth of the forest. The present records show that the reserve has about 70 species of butterflies, including the protected Troides Iacus kaguya. Studies of the island biology have repeatedly shown that the species richness and diversity increases as the area of the habitat increases, and as the types of habitat are more complete. As such precious lands are decreasing by the day, one values the Dawu Nature Reserve even more, for it not only represents the natural ecosystem from low to high altitudes, it also preserves the streams, lakes, and virgin forests at the same time. Many of the indigenous animals and plants live here and nurture their young due to this terrific environment. This is a paradise for wildlife and an immense treasure of genes. To keep the forest protected and pristine, the Taidong Forest District Office is making use of 3 stations in Dawu, Zhiban, and Pingdong to patrol and promote the protection of the forest. They patrol the forest and remove traps, promote conservation, and manage the reserve at the same time. Protecting Dawu Mountain preserves these precious resources. It is another way to safeguard human beings as well. However, do not forget that no matter how you try to protect it, you still cannot fight against the damage done deliberately. Therefore, you must take responsibility to protect every part of the reserve, no matter who you are or where you are. Only in this way can we preserve all this beauty for the next generation and at the same time enrich our own lives.